first rakat. So we mentioned the principle that in small surahs, it's how many ayats? 3 ayats. That if the surah read in the second rakat is longer by 3 ayats or more than the surah read in the first rakat, then it will be disliked. And if it was less than 3, then it'll be fine. So one where it's completely obvious is, for example, you read Wal Asr in the first rakat. How many ayats in Wal Asr? 3 verses. Yeah, 3 verses in Wal Asr. And how many verses in the surah after it? Wailul likulli? 9. Now how many ayats gap is there? There's 6 gaps. So what do you think? If you read Wal Asr in the first and Wailul likulli in the second, will it be makruh? Yes, it'll be makruh. Okay, because there's more than a 3 ayats gap. Yes, you can make that one surah gap. Yes. Yeah, consecutively. Or, for example, you leave more than one surah, 2 surahs in between, then it's fine. So that was that. Um, so we mentioned the ruling of Surah Kawthar in the first rakat and Surah Ikhlas in the second rakat. And if it wasn't a small surah, there are long surahs, or you will see as well that if the ayats of both the surahs that are being compared, if the ayats vary in their range and their size, then you won't compare the actual number of ayats, you'll actually compare the letters. Okay, an example of this is if you open Alam Nashrah and Surah Bayyina, Lam yakun alladhina kafaru. Now Alam Nashrah will have 8 ayats if I am correct. Alam Nashrah should have 8 ayats, and Surah Bayyina, Lam yakun alladhina kafaru min ahlil kitabi, that will also have 8 ayats. But Alam Nashrah is only 4 lines, Lam yakun alladhina is about 10, 11 lines. So we're not going to look at lines in this scenario. When the ayats, the size of the ayats, they vary and they're not similar to one another, then you look at the number of letters. If the Now how do I explain this? I'll mention it through a number. If the first ayat, if the in the first rakat, for example, you read 50. You read 50 letters in total. In the first rakat, 50 letters in total, and in the second rakat, you read 74. That is less than double the gap, then it's fine. But if it was 76, then it won't be allowed. Now, obviously, who's going to count all the letters? This is why some scholars have said, if the gap is just obvious, it's clear, bayin ho. If it's clear, then it'll be makruh. And if it's not clear, then it's fine. Both in Surah Alam Nashrah and Lam yakun alladhina kafaru, although both ayats are 8, you won't say, okay, yeah, you can read Alam Nashrah in the first, you can read Lam yakun alladhina in the second. No, because Lam yakun alladhina is a lot longer than Alam Nashrah. In that scenario, we will look at the number of letters. That which is established from the Prophet ﷺ is exempt from this ruling. So if there's certain hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he lengthened the second rakat over the first rakat, those surahs are exempt from this ruling. The same ruling would apply to wajib, sunnat and nafil prayers according to the correct opinion.